Good evening, everyone. I hope that you can all hear me nice and clearly. A very, very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining the session. I know that that it seems like it's coming close around because submissions are due and things happen, but I am appreciative that you guys did join. I see there is just two students still joining, so I'm just going to wait a few seconds just to let them. Okay, I think everyone who is in the room is in the room. So guys, I'm not going to keep you waiting much longer. For those of you who are not in my group, so I do recognize a few names who are in my groups, as also for everybody else who is perhaps not in my group, maybe they are with Mr. Theo, then a very warm welcome to you as well. My name is Kim van Rooyen, and I will be conducting this national support session for Business Management 2A. So we're going to just be looking at the first part, the task 1, which is part of the memo. So I'm sure you would have had downloaded the POE document at this stage, and you would have orientated yourself around what is expected from this module and how it is structured. So just to recap before we get into part 1, remember there is a POE that you are going to be submitting in November, and that POE has 3 predecessors, so 3 tasks that you are going to submit before completing the final POE, which is a business plan. So we have task 1, task 2, and task 3, which are, I like to say, the building blocks to submitting this final POE at the end of the semester. So we are right in the beginning. We are working on the very first building block. I'll get to that now, Colleen, as well. So it is the same code, so don't stress about that. So you can see here, sorry, I should have changed it for you guys, but we have 2 different streams that do exactly the same work. So 6211 and 6221 is exactly the same thing, Business Management 2A. So don't stress about that. It is exactly the same work than what you are doing. So if you are registered for BMNG 6221, and your code usually has a W at the end, which means web, which means you're online, then you're in the right place. So don't stress. So like I was saying, what we're going to do today is we're going to jump right into task 1, the first building block. We're going to look at how are we going to start putting together this business plan. I've now told you that the end goal for us is to submit a business plan, but we don't just throw you in the deep end. We take these small little steps to achieving that end goal. And task 1 is the first assignment that is due, and that is going to be your first stepping stone into getting yourself your business idea and putting together that business plan. So task 1 is due next week. It's due on the 24th of August, which, if I'm not mistaken, let me just quickly check my calendar, is next week Thursday. So it's your first official assignment. It's not an optional ICE task or anything like that. It is an assignment. So it's an official assignment that you are going to submit via VC Learn on the assignment links as you would a normal assignment. Okay, so some students have emailed me to say, Kim, is this task just an ICE task? Is it just an activity that we're doing? And the answer is definitely no. It is a assignment. So I need you to treat it as an assignment, or to think of it as if it were the first part of your assignment. The beauty of this assignment, though, is that it counts 20 marks. So it's not a big assignment. It's not 100 marks. It's 20 marks. We are working on the building steps, the stepping stones. And the first part counts 20 marks. And it is due, like I say, next week, Thursday, on the 24th of August before 9 p.m. So all the normal rules apply when it comes to submitting the assignment. So what is this task all about? What is it all about when we speak about task 1? What are we going to be looking at, okay? So to give you some background and just to make the picture a little bit clearer, for this module, Business Management 2A, we focus on entrepreneurship. So your job is to pretend, in inverted commas, that you are an entrepreneur and you need to come up with a business idea. So it can't just be any business idea. We need to narrow it down a little bit, okay? So the brief for us is that you are an entrepreneur And in light of that, you need to come up with an innovative business idea that can address some of the problems that we face currently in South Africa. Okay, so we have identified 4 problems or 4 challenging areas within the country. So within South Africa specifically, we are looking at the National Development Plan, and we've identified 4 areas where there really are challenges, where there are problems, where there are struggles within these areas. And your job, your task is to come up with a business idea, a business proposal that can address one of these challenges. So you can choose any one of the 4 challenges, and you can think of an idea that is going to address it. We don't expect you guys to solve the challenge in its entirety. So we don't expect it to be fixed miraculously, but we do want to see some sort of attempt at reducing the challenge or fixing the problem. So that's the brief that we have. So we're going to look at these different challenges and how you can think of a business idea in order to combat this challenge. And the 4 chapters or the 4 areas of concern that they have highlighted are economic infrastructure, education, the health system, and how to build safer communities within South Africa. Okay, so you don't have to go and read the entire National Development Plan. It is over 400 pages long. We don't expect you to know the NDP, the National Development Plan, off by heart. But you need to focus on these 4 chapters, read through, skim through the 4 chapters, and then go and figure out which problem are you going to focus on. So let's say, for example, we look at economic infrastructure. So you will see in economic infrastructure, they speak about what things they need to focus on, how can they improve the economic infrastructure. So we speak about the roads, the railway system that is no longer in existing, potholes that are in our road, load shedding. So electricity would form part of the economic infrastructure that is a concern to us. So in our economy, with the terms of our roads, our airlines, our service providers that we have, so electricity and all that, what is going wrong? What can you fix in line with that? Okay, then we look at the second chapter where they speak about education. So they speak about how teachers are not trained properly, how children or students cannot read. So there's a lot of illiterate children within our classrooms. They are 10, 11 years old and they still do not know how to read. They are going to school, but they are not teachers at the school. The schools themselves don't have the correct infrastructure to teach the children. Children are going to school hungry, therefore they cannot concentrate. So there's a lot of problems within our education system. So do you have any ideas that could fix those problems? Okay. Then we look at the third one, chapter 10 of our NDP, health, the health system within our organization. Very long queues at the clinic to be served. Doctors that are leaving government services and working elsewhere, perhaps leaving the country. How do we access rural communities? How do we get healthcare to those communities that don't have access to come into the city to visit a clinic? So we're looking at mobile clinics, we're looking at ways in which we can reach out to further, deeper parts of the community. We're looking at the expenses that healthcare is. So it's expensive to go and see a doctor and things like that. So we're trying to look at being healthy as well. So promoting a healthier lifestyle. So taking care of yourself. How often should you go for checkups? How can you get, HIV? How to stop the spread of HIV, tuberculosis. So there's a lot of other diseases and things that are included in the NPD. And how can you fix one of those problems? And then the last option that you have is to build safer communities. So in here, they speak specifically about the crime rate within our country, within certain cities. They speak about gender-based violence, so violent acts against women. How can we stop that? being safe on the roads, you know, alarm companies would be a solution. But yeah, to build a safer community that children could walk to school, people should be able to feel safe within their things. One of the biggest problems here that they speak about is the manpower. There are literally just not enough South African police force out there to be in every single corner where there are problems. There are too many problems for the amount of police men that they have. Okay, so like I say, like I've spoken, ladies and gents, there's a lot of problems that you can choose from, a lot of challenges. Your job is to choose one. So you can go and just pick one. The rest that I have spoken about, you can ignore. You can go and pick one that is completely different, even if I haven't spoken, as long as it falls into one of these categories. As long as your idea is trying to fix either the economic infrastructure, or it's trying to improve education, or it's promoting health, or your idea is building a safer community. So you're going to find an idea that is going to tick one of these boxes over here. So your idea must identify with and try and solve one of these ideas that you would have here. Once you have decided that, you can now jump into the questions that are going to be asked, okay? And there are 5 questions that would form part of this part 1, task 1. The first question you will see asks you to just describe the challenge. So you identify, let's just highlight this again. You identify one challenge. So you're going to look for one of the challenges that you would find there. And then you are going to describe the challenge. Briefly describe the problem. I've put a little YouTube video in there. It just looks at something you can just go and watch it. It just looks at how you would describe certain things. And, you know, when you have the word describe, what does that mean? So you can go and listen to it in your own time. So you're going to take your problem, and for 5 marks, we generally look at 5 facts. So for 5 marks, we're looking at 5 facts. I always then tell the students, just go and put in an extra 1 or 2 just to make sure you get your 5 marks, okay? What are we going to look at? Let's take the very first example. So just by means of example, we focus on the economic infrastructure, the fact that there are potholes in our road. So you're going to go and describe the problem. You're going to go and describe the problem within South Africa. So you're going to look at the NPD, you're going to extract information from the National Development Plan. You're going to go and do extra research on why are potholes bad? How many potholes are there in South Africa? What is the damage when you hit a pothole? So all the information, you're going to describe the problem. Why is this a problem? Why is it a problem if we don't have electricity, if our roads don't work, if our railways don't work, if our teachers are getting paid but they're not teaching, if children are going to school hungry, if communities are not safe, if women are not safe? Okay, so any of those challenges, describe the problem. So for 5 marks, describing what it is, what is the challenge, okay? Remember, this is the challenge that you are going to try and solve. So choose your problem, describe the problem, remembering in the back of your mind that you need to think of an idea that's going to combat this. So describe the problem. Please remember to reference any sources, any resources that you've used here. So reference the NPD if you've used it, which you would use. Reference any other articles or journals or databases that you have used to describe your problem. Okay, so for 5 marks, a pretty straightforward question describing the problem. From that, we're now going to move on to question 2. And please, guys, at any stage, if you don't understand, please type up a message or raise your hand to speak about it. There's plenty of time for questioning as well. So once we have described our problem, we now need to move on to the next step, which is obviously to fix the problem. So how then do we go and fix the problem? And this would be our very next part of the requirement that we have. Okay, So it's going to sound like a lot of explaining that I'm going to do for this question and a lot of work, but this is probably where you are going to spend most of your time, is to figure out question 2. So question 2 is worth 5 marks. Again, we're looking at a 5-mark question, but again, this is going to take a lot of thinking. A lot of time is going to be spent in this question. So the question asks, identify at least 4 sources of ideas that you have consulted in order to come up with a solution for your problem. So you need to look for 4 sources of ideas to come up with your one idea that you are going to base your POE task on. Okay, so let's break it up into a little bit. Identify, step 1, 4 sources of ideas. Okay, so when we speak about sources of ideas, we speak about where do the ideas come from? Where do some of these sources of ideas come from? Where will we find the ideas? Okay, and you can find them absolutely anywhere. As a starting point, I did give you some page numbers there that you can use to start off with. There, specifically on page 58 and 59. So 12 and 13 gives you a bit of background, and then 58 and 59, you will look at that. So let's just throw around some sources of ideas here. Sources of ideas, we're looking at speaking to a friend, watching television, an expo or a trade show would be a source of idea. Watching a YouTube video, researching something in a library or watching it there, talking to other shoppers or other people, your own experience. So perhaps your experience at work, your colleagues, your own skills and talents might be that. Speaking to people in a governmental position, they might give you a source of idea. Seeing an advert, okay? Trying to keep up with trends, so social media, digital media, visiting exhibitions, internet, looking for gaps in the library, using creative thinking. So there are many different sources of ideas, and of those you are going to choose 4. Okay, so your first point of call is to choose 4 sources of ideas, and then you list them. So I always tell the student, let's say, for example, I'm going to just quickly share the whiteboard with you. So let's just quickly do this. Just give me 1 second. So coming back to our question, we are looking at our 4 different sources, okay? So we have source 1. Just wait 1 second. I just need to do it like that, and let's get it a nice color. Okay, so we've got source 1, source 2, source 3, and source 4. Don't look at my skew lines. That would be fine. That would be fine there. So we've got source 1, etc., source 2, source 3, and source 4. So in a box or a circle or a diagram, you write what the source is. So source 1, I'm going to say, just as an example, family. So I was speaking to my family. Let's say source 2. So the second place where I got my ideas from. Let's say I went to a trade show, an exhibition, okay? So I went to like an expo or a trade show or something like that. And then you do that for the rest of them. So you need 4 sources of the ideas, okay? So that's your first point. And then you need to start throwing all the ideas around. So say now you've identified your challenge. Remember we spoke about, just for an example, potholes. So that's my challenge. I want to try and fix all the potholes in South Africa. So my product that I'm going to make is going to be a special cement that can close potholes up. So that's my idea. That's what I'm working on. What does my family tell me? So I'm speaking to my family about the potholes. I'm telling them how bad it is because I need to replace all my tires when it comes to this. So how can we understand this? So then my granny says, but maybe take a special plastic cover. The granny says, choose plastic cover to cover the potholes with. So you must take your plastic cover all around. And then maybe your uncle, who's a little bit, you know, a little bit more clued up, would say, no, don't take a plastic cover, rather just take a cone and barken it off. So then you can take a cone and you know, show everyone where it is, so you can indicate where the pothole is so that you don't go through it. So make the pothole more visible so that people can go around it. So you've got two ideas coming from your family. And these ideas, ladies and gents, can be as crazy, as wild, as funny, as whatever as you want. Remember, that is the beauty of entrepreneurship. Our ideas can be way out there. It doesn't matter, because we're going to settle on the one idea that is going to work. So the rest of ideas can absolutely be crazy. They don't have to all make sense. So these ideas, we're just throwing them around. We are just brainstorming all the ideas. Okay, so let's carry on with the example. Then I go, yes, that's also perfect. So good question there. So Colleen is asking, is a table format fine? And that is acceptable. You'll see in the question I ask for a mind map, so like circles and lines and stuff, but a table format is absolutely perfect as well. 100% acceptable. So then we carry on with brainstorming all the ideas. And so now we get to source 2 here, and we speak to a really clever person who says, oh, there is a special cement that is quick drying. Let's say, for example, so he's selling this quick drying, new age, innovative cement that is quick drying. And maybe another person is selling, let's say, a mixture. I'm just making this up as we go. A mixture of stones and sand, let's say. So now these are your ideas that you have. And again, you're going to do it for source 3 and source 4. So you've got 4 different sources with a list underneath of all the ideas that are available. So I tell the students to have at least 10 ideas here. So have 2 or 3 ideas for each one of the sources. Okay? 100%, Ibrahim, a good question as well. The internet, using Google, using a research tool, internet is definitely a source of ideas, 100%. Researching, finding ideas as part of the internet, online research, most definitely very, very acceptable. So the 10 ideas could be, as we've done here, so I've got one idea here, like I've mentioned, is the plastic cover. So let's just put it like this. So I just want to make this a bit small. This thing is way too big. So we have idea number 1, idea number 2, idea number 3, idea number 4, and say now here by our source 3, where we're over here, we have idea number 5, 6, and 7, and then we have number 8 and 9 and 10. Okay, so we've 10 ideas spread between the 4 sources. So source 1, we've got those 2 ideas. Source 2, we've got the other ideas. And then source 3 and source 4 would be the remaining ideas as well. So as long as you've got 9 or 10 ideas spread over the 4 ideas, then you're going to be good. Okay. So now the next step for us is to identify which one of these ideas that I've listed. So I haven't listed the rest of them, but you will. But now we need to choose the one that is going to be best. Which one am I going to do my whole project on? Okay, so I literally take a red line or a line that I can, you know, that you can use over a Koki or a line on Word document or whatever you're going to be using to draw your mind map or your table. So I'm just taking a red line and I'm going to say, okay, no, Granny, I'm definitely not going to be taking plastic covers around all of these potholes. That's not a great idea. I can't imagine that making me any money. I am scratching that idea out. And I'm definitely not going to put a cone to indicate where the pothole is. I'm sorry, uncle, because that would just cause chaos in the traffic and people would have accidents left, right, and center. So I'm scratching out that idea. Then I think to myself, okay, special cement that dries quickly. Sure, that really sounds like a great idea to me. It could make me some money. Yeah, this sounds like a great idea. I think out of all my ideas, this is the one that is really going to be profitable and make it to me. And then I'm going to highlight. So you can see I'm taking a green Koki or a green pen and I'm highlighting it. I don't have the highlighting facility on this whiteboard, so I'm just putting a circle. You can clearly show that that is the idea that I'm using. And then I'm going to scratch out all the ideas that I'm not choosing. So in other words, you're going to have 9 ideas that have all got red lines through them and one idea that is the winning idea, the idea that is going to be the one that you are going to do your entire project on. And this example that I've chosen would be quick drying special cement to cover up all the potholes. So I'm going to be selling this product. Then you submit it in a table form, a diagram form, a mind map kind of thing is what we're looking for. As long as we can see when I look at the picture that you've got 10 ideas that you've listed, that you've got 4 sources that you've listed, and that you've indicated the one idea that you have chosen. So that's all you have to do for this question. As long as I can see instantly, okay, idea number 8 was bad, I didn't like it, but I'm picking this idea here. I'm picking the special cement idea. So that's how you're going to draw it. So you can see that's why I say it immediately it's a lot more thinking this work. So once you've done it, it's done, but it does require a little bit more thinking of this thing. So does everyone understand question 2 at the moment? I know sometimes it doesn't always make sense, but I'm hoping it does make sense. I'm going to go back into the actual slide now. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. If you don't understand, please let me know. I can try and explain it with some more examples as well. So I'm just going to quickly wait for this to show up before we go back on again. So just wait 1 second just to go back to question 2. So again, question 2 counts 5 marks. You can see here, I've just put in another example on the screen. 4 idea sources, 10 ideas, and highlight the idea that has 1. Then you literally take that idea, so whatever the idea is, and now you're going to elaborate on that idea in question 3. So in question 3, you're going to take the idea. Let's say, for example, we speak about the quick drying cement, okay? So you're going to then write your answer for 3 sentences. You're going to say, how does your business idea alleviate the economic infrastructure that is so poor? So you're going to say, the quick drying cement will prevent or will stop potholes. It will prevent damage to people's cars. It will allow the traffic to flow smoother because there are no potholes in the road. So this is how the cement, this product, is going to fix the infrastructure problem that I identified. Okay, my business is going to sell quick drying cement, and it is going to be called Miracle Pothole. Let's say that is the business name. So for 3 marks, we are looking at answering 3 sections of the thing. So only 3 sentences. First sentence you can see at the top here is, how does it fix? So how does your product fix the problem? So a short sentence to say, I'm going to educate the teachers. I'm going to teach women self-defense. I'm going to sell paraffin lamps to stop load shedding, or to allow people to still see when there is load shedding, or inverters. I am going to train doctors and set up mobile clinics in rural areas to prevent the problem of to fix the healthcare challenge. So the first sentence you're going to write is, how do I fix this problem? How does my product, my idea, fix the problem? Number 2, what is it that you are selling? What is your product or your service? You're going to literally say, I am selling self-defense pepper spray. I am selling lamps for load shedding. I'm selling an educational course. I'm selling teaching degrees, or that's the service that I'm providing. I'm selling weapons for people to communicate or to defend themselves. I'm selling CCTV cameras to keep communities safer. I am opening up a program where I'm going to upskill young people so that they're not unemployed, to combat unemployment in South Africa. So what product, what service are you selling? And then give your business a name. Give your business a name. What is your business going to be called? Very important to give it a name. This name might change going forward, but generally the rule of thumb here is that once you've named your business, its name is its name is its name. Okay, so it shouldn't change for the next 3 tasks coming forward as well. So 3 sentences. How does this business solution propose to fix this problem? What is it that I am selling? And give my business a name. So pretty straightforward for 3 marks. Give the business a name as well. Okay. Then we elaborate on that business idea. When we look at question 4, we speak about the risks of this, and all you need to do here is list 2 risks that your business will be affected by. Are there financial risks that your business will face? Is it going to face risks from the government? Are there risks in terms of safety for yourself or your product? Is there a risk to, like I say, not get any financial backing up for it? Is it a risk that you might be spending too much time working and not a family risk that you can do? Is it a psychological risk to you if you are dealing with people who have been abused, for example? Is that going to be a risk for your own mental health? Are you risking your life if you are going into dangerous rural areas providing medical treatment? So what type of risks, business risks, personal risks, would your business be facing? And again, it can be any risks that you could be thinking of there. So again, a pretty straightforward question for 2 marks. Identify and explain 2 risks. It doesn't have to be an essay, it's only 2 marks. So 2 or 3 short sentences explaining those risks would be sufficient for this question. So yeah, so your risks can be, like I say, financial, personal, psychological, governmental, physical. It really is up to you to decide that. And each one of the organizations and the problems will be a different risk. There will be a different risk analyzed. So none of you really would have the same risks for this question. And then the very last question. So the very last question that we would have here, question 5, is, I always tell the students, this is almost a question that it is impossible to fail this question. So for 4 marks, 5 marks. So for 5 marks that you are looking at here, you are going to write a reflection. So you are going to be looking at writing a reflection on your own entrepreneurial characters. So what are your entrepreneurial characters that you think you might have? Would you be a good entrepreneur, or is there some work that you would have to do in order to consider yourself a good entrepreneur? So again, guys, it's a personal reflection on yourself. We are not judging what you say. If you tell us, sure, Kim, I really don't think I'd be a good entrepreneur. I don't really take any risks, and I'm a little bit scared to be a leader. I would rather want to follow. I don't want to be the leader. Then that would be acceptable. So your own reflection. If you're not too sure whether you would be a good entrepreneur or not, there are some tests, some little entrepreneurial online tests that you can do, which tells you in order to be a good entrepreneur, you need to have these characteristics. So you need to be passionate, driven, you need to be able to take risks. And I tick all those boxes, okay? So you can see how we're writing it. We are figuring out how we can, how we can reflect. Am I going to be a good entrepreneur? Am I not going to be a good entrepreneur? And it's your own reflection on this. So how can you improve on it if you're not a good entrepreneur? Are there any characteristics that you know that you have that would make you a good entrepreneur? And some of the students are already entrepreneurs, so you could reflect on your practice at the moment. So maybe you've already got a business or something, then you can, like I say, reflect on that. So for 5 marks, we're looking at a self-reflection. We're looking at an honest self-reflection. So we don't expect you to all be great entrepreneurs at this stage. We just want an honest reflection on your characteristics, on whether or not you think you have what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Okay, guys, I think I have spoken enough. Let me know if there's any other questions. Just a reminder that you do need to reference. So if you, for example, writing that entrepreneurial test, reference it. Obviously your ideas, so your ideas that are your written ideas. So for example, question 2, you don't have to reference your ideas unless you base them on something that you researched. So if you based your ideas on a research article or on a program that you watch, then you can just reference that specific article where you found your ideas or where your inspiration came from. Submit it via VC Learn before 9 o'clock. Don't submit it late. It's a neat document. Make sure it is neat and tidy. Don't stress too much about the similarity. It doesn't really make a difference for us for part 1 because our ideas should all be different at this stage. And just remember to reference, make sure that your work is neat, that you've edited it, that you've reread it correctly, and that you are submitting good, high quality professional work. I do know that you can ask us questions for it. So Colleen, generally we say we don't really accept drafts because sometimes I know that this is a small group, but usually we have quite a few students who are in the group. So just as a general rule, no OT will accept a draft or read through a draft because otherwise it becomes too much. But if you have a problem with something and you want me to read through a specific question, like I say, this is a small group. As long as you email it to me with a few days, not like a day before the time. But yeah, if you've got a question or you want me to quickly read through something, then do it. But I'm not going to mark a draft per se before the time. But I'll gladly help you, and guide you on the right pathway. So I hope that makes sense. So good question there as well. You'll see in the POE document, there is a reference that they listed there from the NDP. And if not, if you can't find it, then you can just reference it as the website. So it is an online document. I don't have it with me right now, but if you just look at the NDP document, you will see there is a link. There is an online link that you can then go and reference as well. Good question, though. Thank you for that. Let me know if there's any other questions, ladies and gentlemen. I will make this recording available as soon as it has converted. And yeah, then good luck, everyone. I always look forward to seeing these ideas. I always find it so interesting to see what the students come up with. So no pressure on you, but I'm expecting great things. And yeah, take care. And let me know if there's anything else. And thanks again, Colleen, for setting up the group for our group as well, for setting up that WhatsApp group as well for our class. Yeah, good luck, everyone. And like I say, I know Theo echoes the same sentiments as me. So if you need help and you're not in my group, you're welcome to email him. He is also a wealth of knowledge as well, and he's always willing to help. That's all from my side. I will make this recording available. Take care, everyone. Work hard. Get it done. Get it done. Thanks, everyone. Good night.